while I appreciate the sentiment of I want to compete as long as I can be competitive, that's perfect. Lucky for you guys. Like, now you want to boil up all the, everyone loves to hate on LeBron, everyone loves to crap on LeBron. That's the reason why. Lucky for you guys, I get to still play basketball.
I thought it was funny when I heard about it, because I didn't watch the ESPYs, and I heard about it. I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. I think he was directing that towards the Denver Nuggets.
Oh, all right. Maybe.
Yeah, that was FedEx to Michael Malone for all that trash talk about being the Lakers' daddy, right?
Sure was.
Yeah, look, it was nice, the way he set that up and everything. Nobody in that building ever thought that LeBron was going to announce a retirement at the Essence.
No way. Not a million years.
If he's announcing a retirement, it's going to be his way. And I don't think the ESPYs is one of those ways.
2.5-hour ESPN special broadcast on, like 7 networks.
Also, he's going to, we all know LeBron wants a farewell tour. We know this.
Yeah.
He is a farewell tour type of guy. Kobe got his, and we know LeBron wants his. So all this, is he going to retire? Well, did he get a chance to have a farewell tour? No, then he's not retiring.
So I guess my question is, how much longer do you think LeBron can or will go?
Well, look, I've learned in the last decade you never bet against LeBron. That's the old adage about him. Yeah. So I'm not going to put an expiration date. But, look, he has 2 years left on his contract. Maybe he extends it another in hopes to play with Bronny. But I think what is interesting about that goal is I think, has also sent the message that he's not going to force his will necessarily for that to happen if Bronny feels a certain way about that, because there's so many different elements. I mean, the positive part, that's such a cool moment for a dad to be able to play with his son on the same team. But, when it comes to allowing him to be his own guy and carve his own path, I wouldn't be surprised if he wants to respect those lanes. But as far as the durability standpoint, I think that you don't want to bet against him per se, but you also have to just be prepared for anything, because if these last few seasons have taught us anything about LeBron, is that when he's on the floor, he plays at a high level. Now, I know that especially late in the playoffs, his three-point shot was decreasing a little bit in fatigue and the injuries were getting the best of him. But for the most part, he has been a dominant force when he's been on the floor. But I think the other question is, how long will he be on the floor? Because the last 3 seasons he's had injuries. He's done all the right things, but just injuries are injuries. And so you just never want to discount that, just the possibility that it's a reality in the sports that injuries can happen at any point. But when he's on the court, I don't want to say he's prime LeBron, but he's still one of the most dominant players in the league right now.
I think for the Lakers coming up this season, they need to make an announcement. If anybody who want to buy tickets, LeBron is going to be the guy that might not play, because he will be load managing. And I think it's going to be really important for them to look at LeBron. Even if he wants to play, be like, nope, you're not playing. And that's going to be very important, because think about it. There was so many little injuries that he's never had. I heard a pop, this and that. And it's not like he can bounce back in 3 to 4 days like a lot of young guys. It's going to take him 3 to 4 weeks to get back. In 3 to 4 weeks, you're only going to miss about 10 to 12 games, but why miss 10 to 12 games when you can only miss like 2 to 3 games because of load management?
You know what? I want to believe that. I really, really do, and that makes a lot of sense. I don't think LeBron, having an idea of what LeBron's mindset is, because sometimes your mind and your body ain't on the same page. And so even though he takes very, 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 very good care of himself, mentally I think he feels as though he's still a very young player. And no, I'm going to go out here every game as much as I possibly can and give it all I got. And I know he knows his body better than anybody. And I know sometimes doctors and all these physicians have a hard time telling the player, hey, you may need to chill out a bit. And he seems like one of those guys where it's like, hey, hands off. LeBron knows his body better than anybody. We're not going to tell him what to do. So as much as he wants to play, as well as he can play, he's going to go out there every game. If he needs to take a break, hey, I think I'm going to sit out this game or maybe sit out this game or 2. But I think a lot of people trust LeBron in knowing what he needs. And if he can get out on that floor and lace him up and play at a high level, I think that's what he's going to do this season.
But in kind of what you're saying, though, it's like everybody knows their body until that moment you step on that court and you play, and all of a sudden you just step funny. And you're like, oh, because fatigue will hit you when you think your body's not tired, when your body's actually tired. I feel good, but your body's literally tired. And I think that's going to be really important for them to say, LeBron, no. And matter of fact, you got to have somebody designated to hide his shoes, because that's what you're going to have to do, man, because we know LeBron, he's competitive. He's like, no, dude, you cannot do it, because the most important thing right now is to win a chip. And,
right.
You ain't got about 3 or 4 more seasons left in you to do that at a high level.
Hey, Mark, well, I want you to try to get Rob to be the one to tell LeBron, hey, you need to sit down, and I want you to record that, and I need video of it. I want anybody trying to get LeBron to tell LeBron James to sit down. No, you're not playing. I want to see that.
Hey, they can hire me just for that. I'll be the shoe hider.
You can invoice the consultant fees every time you hide the shoes, right?
Exactly.
Look, I'm intrigued. I mean, it's great points that you guys bring up, and I'm intrigued with this math formula that on one hand, the more years that you have, inevitably, you would think the more likely fatigue injuries play a part. And you don't discount 21st season. He's going to be 39 in December. But then you also look at the other side of the coin compared to last season. Could this be a pathway where his workload's easier to manage? Because when you look at last season, he was playing out of his absolute mind because of, just the struggles with Russell Westbrook and the rest of the roster. And then the second half of the season, they're just having to play with playoff type intensity just to stay in the play-in tournament after the trade deadline moves. Does this give him a fresh slate of not just off-season rest, but less workload because of all the roster continuity, as well as some of the new pieces that they picked up in this offseason? So maybe it's not enough for him to think, oh, yeah, I'll sign up on load management and sit back-to-backs and all that stuff. But maybe at least enough for him to be open to, hey, I don't have to play in the high 30 minutes or, even low 40 minutes in regular season games in November and December. So I know asking Darvin about that, I know it's coach optimism when it's the off season and the records are 0-0, but he very much sees that pathway that even with a year older, because of all the roster construction and the continuity, that this season could be relatively easier for him in terms of his workload.